The world of media consumption has drastically changed, and nowhere is this more apparent than in the booming popularity of sports documentaries. Streaming platforms, particularly Netflix, have brought these stories out of niche circles and into the mainstream. But how did this happen? What makes these documentaries so compelling to such a broad audience? Why are people who never cared about sports suddenly glued to their screens, eagerly watching documentaries about athletes and competitions they never followed before? Before diving into these questions, let's back up to understand a bit about how streaming platforms have made this shift possible. Years ago, sports documentaries were for a specific audience, mainly hardcore sports fans and enthusiasts. They were the kinds that you'd find buried on late-night television schedules or reserved for special programming slots. Finding high-quality sports documentaries was like finding a needle in a haystack. But things started changing when streaming giants like Netflix entered the scene. Why is this transition significant? Take Netflix, for example. It has this fantastic capability to democratize access to content. What do we mean by democratize? Imagine someone in Japan who wants to watch The Last Dance, a documentary series about Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. In the past, this might have been nearly impossible, but today, with just a few clicks, that series is available as readily in Japan as it is in the United States. This ease of access isn't just about convenience. It's about breaking down geographical and cultural barriers that once restricted the spread of such content. People all over the world now have the same chance to watch high-quality sports documentaries, and that's opened up entirely new audience bases. Now, once you have that audience, you need to captivate them. Streaming platforms have these massive budgets, which they funnel into creating top-notch content. The production quality of these documentaries has gone through the roof. Think about the research, the cinematography, the writing. Everything has a level of polish and care that's designed to hook viewers right from the start. Let's look at Icarus, a documentary about the Russian doping scandal. It starts with an amateur cyclist's experiment and evolves into a thriller of global proportions involving politics, science, and ethics. The gripping narrative keeps you on the edge of your seat. This sort of storytelling transforms a topic that might seem dry on paper into something riveting. Another compelling example is When We Were Kings, the Oscar-winning documentary about the 1974 Rumble in the Jungle boxing match between Muhammad Ali and George Foreman. Though it predates the streaming boom, it highlights what's possible with substantial backing. Imagine if such meticulously crafted documentaries had the global reach of Netflix at their peak. They'd be unstoppable. Now, thanks to platforms like Netflix, documentaries like these can be revitalized and reach new audiences worldwide. So who are these new audiences? It's not just sports fans anymore. It's also anyone who loves a good story. Netflix has an uncanny ability to humanize athletes, showing us more than just the stats and highlights. Consider The Last Dance again. It does more than celebrate Michael Jordan's achievements. It dives deep into his personal struggles, his drive, his conflicts. It shows the raw human side of an otherwise larger-than-life figure. Or look at Breaking 2, which chronicles attempts to break the 2-hour marathon barrier. It covers a race, but it's really about the human spirit, the rigorous preparation, the emotional highs and lows. This kind of storytelling pulls in viewers who might not care about sports, but are fascinated by compelling human stories. Social media plays into this newfound popularity big time too. When The Last Dance aired, it was a global event. People tweeted, posted on Facebook, and shared Instagram stories discussing every episode in real time. Hashtags like The Last Dance trended for weeks, generating buzz and pulling even more people in. The ripple effect is tremendous. Social media makes these documentaries not just watched, but also talked about, dissected, and analyzed. Another fascinating expansion is how streaming platforms are branching out to less traditional sports. Drive to Survive on Netflix is a case in point. Formula One racing has always had a devoted following, but there were regions where it was almost unheard of. Enter the documentary, which showcases not just the races, but the drama, the stakes, the intricacies of the sport, and the lives of drivers and teams. Suddenly, people who never paid attention to motor racing are hooked. Similarly, Cheer brings the intense world of competitive cheerleading to the forefront. It shows the grueling training, the emotional roller coasters, and the strong characters involved, making the sport fascinating to anyone who might have never considered it worth their time. Going back to our original question, how do streaming platforms manage to spike interest in sports documentaries? They make them more accessible, more engaging, and more human. They don't just show us sports, they tell us stories. Stories of triumph and defeat. Stories that resonate on a human level. What's the takeaway here? The rise of sports documentaries is a reflection of a broad cultural shift. We no longer see sports merely as competitions, but as narratives of human experience. We crave stories that allow us to connect with others, to see the world from different perspectives, to understand the struggles and triumphs that shape people's lives. Platforms like Netflix have tapped into this desire, offering us a treasure trove of high-quality, engaging, and human-centered documentaries that appeal to audiences beyond traditional sports fans. In essence, streaming services have ushered in a golden age of sports documentaries. They have transformed these films into mainstream entertainment that captivates global audiences, compelling them to care about the athletes, the sports, and the incredible stories of resilience and determination. This shift isn't just about the changing media landscape, but also about the evolving ways we connect with each other and the world around us. Through these documentaries, we aren't just spectators, we become a part of the narrative, sharing in the triumphs and tribulations of the athletes who inspire us. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked that video, then please consider subscribing. And if you want to see more like that, then head on over to the channel where you can find more deep dives into movies, media, and culture. Thanks.